not a strict monotheistic culture where if somebody would say, you need to listen to my words, they'd say, no, you're wrong. We need to listen to God's words. God has spoken to us in the Old Testament. We need to follow God. And Jesus says, wait a second. No, I'm telling you right now, you hear my words and you put my words into practice. And to his audience at the time, I'm sure he sounded like a madman. And if you heard somebody speaking like that today, you'd say, man, something's up with that. I met a guy once when I was in Russia. I was a student in Russia about 30 years ago, and I had some friends, and they invited me over to their house one day, and somebody else was visiting them. I didn't expect this guy to be there. They said, oh, this is our cousin, and he wants to talk to you because we told our cousin that you're a Christian. I said, okay. And so he came into the living room where I was sitting, and he started asking me about my faith and why I believed in Jesus and how long I had been a Christian. And I was, trying to do the best that I could, speaking in Russian, telling him about, what I was building my life on as a Christian. And all of a sudden, this guy kind of leaned into me, and he looked right in my eyes, and he got really close. He said, I need to tell you something. I'm like, okay, you're kind of scared me right now. He said, I am the chosen one. I'm like, you're actually the scary one right now. You're freaking me out, dude. So yes, I'm God's representative on earth. I'm the Messiah. I'm the chosen one. And I was taken aback, and I said, I don't think so. But he started kind of getting angry with me. But it was obvious that he wasn't. It was obvious that the guy was out of his mind. He was drinking and he was smoking. I said, yeah, that doesn't quite fit with my image of God's chosen one. But Jesus, when he makes this statement, he's very, very clearly identifying himself with God. He's making himself equal with God. He says, you want to build your life on a rock? You hear my words, you put my words into practice. He says, I am. I am God incarnate. I am God come to this earth. And if you want to know true wisdom, you have to know my wisdom. You have to know my words. C.S. Lewis, who was an atheist who converted to Christianity, when he would share his new faith with his atheist friends, they would often say to him, they'd say, well, we can accept some of what Jesus says. We can accept that Jesus was a good human teacher. And C.S. Lewis would come back and say, no, you can't. You can't. He would say to his friends like this, he said, I want to prevent anyone saying the really foolish thing that people often say about Jesus. I'm ready to accept him as a great moral teacher, but I don't accept his claim to be God. That is the one thing we must not say. A man who was merely a man and said the sort of things that Jesus said would not be a great moral teacher. He would either be a lunatic on the level with a man who says he's a poached egg, or else he would be the devil of hell. You must make your choice. Either this man was and is the Son of God, or else he's a madman or something worse. You can shut him up for a fool, or you can spit at him and kill him as a demon, or you can fall at his feet and call him Lord and God. But let us not come with any patronizing nonsense about his being a great human teacher. He has not left that open to us. He did not intend to. Now, it seems to me obvious that he was neither a lunatic nor a fiend, and consequently, however strange or terrifying or unlikely it may seem, I have come to accept the view that he was and is God. This is a guy who was an atheist, a professor at Oxford University, and when he looked at the evidence of Jesus' life, he said, no, when I see in Jesus, I see a man who's making the claims that he is God, but he's also backing it up. So there's this, on a human level, the insanity of Jesus' words, but then we see that he's a man who speaks with authority and acts with authority, and he backs it up. At the end of the passage, it says, when Jesus had finished saying these things, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught as one who had authority. But it wasn't just that he exuded authority, he backed his authority up with the signs and the miracles that he did. When he would make these statements, like when he would tell people, I forgive your sins, and the Jews would say, what are you talking about? You can't say that. Only God can forgive sins. And Jesus said, yeah, well, so that you can see that this is real. Look, I'm going to tell this paralytic to get up and walk. I just told him that I can save him from his sins and forgive his sins. But that's easy, right? It's a lot easier to heal the person and tell him, get up, I made you whole, I made you new again. And that's exactly what he would do. He says, so that you can see that my words that I'm saying, and when I make myself equal to God, so you can see that that's the reality of who I am. Look, get up and walk, paralytic. And that's exactly what would happen. And Jesus put the exclamation point on it all through his resurrection. Because he predicted that he would die, he predicted that he would rise from the grave, and that's exactly what he did. So Jesus made these astounding claims, but he also backed it up with his authority, with his miracles, and with the greatest miracle of all, his resurrection. So when he says, you know what, I need you to listen. You want to build a life that's built on a rock? I need you to listen to my words and put them into practice. There's a craziness to it, but there's also a great wisdom to it. Because Jesus consistently showed that he was who he said he was. He consistently showed that he is God incarnate, that he was God come to earth to save us from our sins. And because he's the living God, he knows what he's talking about. Because he's the creator of all the universe, because he's the creator of all life, because he's the creator of each one of us, he knows what he's talking about. He knows what each of us needs to be successful in life. He knows what each of us needs to actually experience true life. Because he was 100% God, he knows everything that exists in the universe. Because he was 100% human, he knows exactly what human beings need to live a life that's fulfilling, a life that's meaningful, a life that has ultimate eternal purpose. He knows what human life should look like when it's lived out perfectly. So he's perfect God, he's perfect human. He knows exactly what he needs, exactly what we need. So when he says, you know what, you want to build a life that has a firm foundation, you want to build a life that's actually going to stand at the end, it's not going to come crashing down at a certain point. You want to build a life that's eternal, then you're going to listen to me, and you're going to follow me, and you're going to do what I tell you to do. The incredible thing about Jesus is that he knows each one of us perfectly. He knows each one of us, what our pain is, what our struggles are, what our weaknesses are, what our dreams are. He knows each of us. And he says, so hear me, listen to me. I know what's best for you. You know, these voices that are crowding into your mind, but my voice is the voice that's going to lead you to pure water. My voice is the voice that's going to lead you to hope and to life and to joy. My voice is the voice that's going to renew you and heal you from your pain. My voice is the voice that's going to console you when you're depressed and when you're hurt inside. My voice is a trustworthy voice. My voice is a voice that you can count on. Even when the world is telling you different things, come back to my voice. And I know a lot of us, we struggle, like we struggle with devotional time. We struggle with time that we spend with God. And here's a great place to start in 2020. If you're struggling reading the Bible or if you're struggling having that time each day with God, come back to Jesus' words. Come back to the Sermon on the Mount, Matthew 5-7. Matthew, it's easy to find. Halfway through your Bible, then go halfway towards the end, and you're going to hit Matthew. And there it is. And just read Jesus' words again and again and again. And ask yourself the question, this is God speaking to me. Jesus is speaking to me. He's teaching me how I should live my life. Am I living this way? And if I'm not living this way, how can I do it? What changes do I need to make? What power do I need in my life to be able to live my life in the way that Jesus is telling me that this is the life that's glorifying to God, and also the life that's satisfying to human beings? He's the source of wisdom. All wisdom that we need for life comes through him. And so often we pay attention to every voice but his. So there's this craziness of what he's saying, claiming about himself, but there's this wisdom also that if he's God, then he knows what I need in my life. I need to listen to him. I need to follow him. But there's also some urgency to what he's saying. This is not just something that we want to, yeah, interesting message. Okay, bro, I'm going out to eat lunch now. Thank you for sharing with me. There's urgency to what Jesus is saying, because what does he say? He says there are two types of people. There's a wise person and there's a foolish person. And they're both building something. They're both building something in their life. He's using this metaphor of building a house. And we can all relate to that because we know that with the decisions that we make every day, we're building something. We're building our future. And Jesus says that the wise man and the foolish man, who are both building, they're similar in that. They're both building something with their lives. And he talks about the circumstances of their lives also. They're both going to run into these difficult circumstances, right? There's a wise man, and in his life, the streams rose, the rain came down, the winds blew and beat against the house. And the foolish man, same thing. The rain came down, the streams rose, the wind blew and beat against his house. And a lot of us, when we're young, we don't realize how difficult life storms can be. And as we get a little bit more experience and start to have kids, and you get a little bit older and you realize, yeah, wow, I didn't know I could get all these sicknesses. I didn't know there were so many ways you could die. And I didn't realize how people can let you down so bad. I didn't realize how difficult marriage is and how difficult it is to be a mom and a dad. And as you get a little bit older and you get a little bit more wisdom, you realize, wow, life is actually really hard. And things can be going smoothly and just smooth sailing, and all of a sudden you're just battered down by this storm that arises, and you weren't expecting it. And it just wants to knock you to the ground. Jesus says that's what's coming. That's what life is going to be. There's going to be these moments of just terrible, terrible storm. What's the difference? What's the difference from the person who remains standing? The person who doesn't get bashed, the person who doesn't get knocked over, the person who keeps going in spite of the terrible storm. He says, it's the person who hears my words and puts them into practice. You want to have a life that lasts. You want to have something that's built strong and that's going to keep going and that's eternal. It's going to be built on me and my words and doing what I tell you to do. It's the foolish guy who says, yeah, interesting, whatever. He hears it and then he disregards it. So I think I prefer to do it my way. I'll build the way that I think is best. I'll listen to my friends, I'll listen to my family, I'll listen to what the culture says is important. Culture says, money's important, that's what I'm going to go after. If I feel like something's important, that's what I'm going to chase after. And it's foolishness. Because that man has heard from the living God himself saying what's important, and he's disregarded it. And he's ignored it. And he's tried to go his own way. Hard to believe, it's almost 9 years ago that my dad passed away from cancer. But even now, 9 years later, I look back on my dad and when he got cancer, and I say, it's a good example of what Jesus was talking about. Because my dad had decided to build his life on following Jesus. And my dad wasn't a perfect guy. You know, when you live with somebody, you see their imperfections. And oftentimes when our relatives pass away, we tend to kind of put them up on a pedestal. And, oh, they never did anything wrong. No, I knew my dad's imperfections. I knew that he wasn't a perfect man. But one thing my dad did throughout his life is that he tried to follow Jesus. He did it imperfectly, like all of us, right? But when the rain came down in my dad's life, and when the streams rose, and when the winds were blowing against him, I saw him stand firm because he decided to build his life on the rock of Jesus. And I still remember the day when he called. I was out playing outside with David, and came in and he said, "Son, sit down. I got to tell you something." I said, "What's going on?" He said, "Well, I went to the doctor today, and they've been doing some studies on me. I have cancer." I said, "Dad, what kind of cancer is it?" He said, "It's a very aggressive cancer." And I remember there was a sadness in his voice, but after he, shared the bad news and dropped the bomb on me, he said, "All right, I'm going to go out and mow the lawn now, son. Talk to you later." And it was like he wasn't terribly fazed by it. And I saw that as the cancer progressed and got worse and worse, and the pain grew, and he was getting closer to death. We saw the same joy on his face. And the same hope. And the same assurance. He's like, "I'm walking with Jesus. It's okay. I'm dying of cancer, but this is not the end. My life is built on something solid. Because my body's going to die, but don't worry about me because I'm saved and I'm going to be in the Father's presence." And just like a day or two before he was taken to the Lord's presence, I remember sitting. They had sent him home on hospice, and he was in a hospital bed, but in the living room of our house. And St. John says, "Son, I'm going to die in the next couple of days, but here's what I want you to sing at my funeral service. Here are the hymns I want you to sing. I want it to be a celebration of joy because I'm saved and I'm going home." And he said, please don't make it about me. Please make it about Jesus because he's the one. He's the one. So as we start a new year, as we start 2020, maybe we can start with a different perspective. And start just by asking this very simple question: what am I building my life on? Am I building my life on something that's solid, a foundation that's gonna give me a strong foundation for the future? It's gonna give me a lasting inheritance. Am I building my life on something that's gonna last? Or am I gonna keep building my life on something that's gonna not get knocked down easily? If we're building our life on anything but Jesus and his words, and following him and obeying his words, we're going to find ourselves disappointed at the end. But if starting from this day on, we say, you know what, my focus in life, the searching of my soul, and the passion of my heart is going to be to know Jesus and to understand his teaching and to follow it with my whole heart. You won't be let down. You won't be this disappointed. And even though you may lose some things, maybe some friends will turn their backs on you. You got crazy, you become religious, whatever. That's okay. I know where life is. I know where hope is. That's where I'm going to run after. I'm going to run after the one who can give me life. And that's my prayer for you guys this year. And for all of us, we run after Jesus. We search hard for him. And we build our houses, build our lives on his strong foundation. Let's stand and pray as Tony prepares to come and share the Lord's Supper with us. This is a great time to reflect right now where we've been, where we are in our walk with the Lord. And maybe we've drifted, maybe we've gone away, but to come back. And as we come to the Lord's table today, to confess our sins. And to confess maybe that we've been following after other voices and return to His voice and to His words. Let's pray. Lord, we thank you as we begin this new year that you so clearly spell it out for us. That there are basically just two choices in life. We can follow our own path, or we can follow the path that you laid out for us. And the path that you laid out for us is a strong foundation. Help us to build on that. Help us to seek you first this year. Help us to strive hard after you and to make you the focus of what we do. Thank you for the hope that we have in Jesus. And we pray these things in His name. Thank you, Mike.